The 49ers face a must-win week number 9 matchup against the New York Giants this Sunday. Will they bounce back after their loss against the Houston Texans, or will they fall closer to 500? This game not only has trade deadline implications, but also could impact San Francisco's chase for another postseason run in 2025. Can they pull it off, or will they lose again in 2025? Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett. And yes, this is a must-win game for the San Francisco 49ers. This might be one of, if not the most important game thus far this season because of what this game could mean for the San Francisco 49ers. A win climbs them back to 6-3 on the year. It also could mean back to first place in the NFC West with the win and a Rams and Seattle Seahawks loss. A win could also mean maybe being more aggressive towards the trade deadline and making the front office make additional moves to impact and improve the roster for a second half playoff push. Meanwhile, a loss could drop San Francisco closer to 500, setting up a massive Week 10 game against the LA Rams. This is a must-win game. Let's get into it. The San Francisco 49ers are 5-3 on the season, looking to bounce back after a rather humiliating loss to the Houston Texans in week number 8. The offense looked sluggish. The defense got played off the field nearly every single drive by the Texans offense. That said, San Francisco has done some work to insulate their defense after how bad they were against the Houston Texans, adding 2 new names to the roster by way of Clelin Ferrell, now back for the first time since 2023, and trading for edge rusher Keion White of the New England Patriots. Unfortunately, though, it looks like Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, Bryce Huff, Jake Brendel, and maybe even Yeaster Gross-Matos will not play this Sunday, which might be a good thing, knowing that San Francisco is headed back to MetLife Stadium for the first time since 2020. It is a shop of horrors. You've seen a lot of players, including the Giants' own Malik Nabers, tear his ACL on the field. So maybe it's a good thing San Francisco's best players do not play in this game on Sunday. There is a genuine fear every tackle, juke, cut, catch could lead to a very serious injury in this game. So let's hope San Francisco, for once this season, might come out unscathed. Meanwhile, the Giants are 2-6 in 2025, coming off an 18-point loss against the Philadelphia Eagles, where they lost maybe the energizer buddy of the roster, which led to Cam Skattebo suffering a brutal season-ending injury against Philadelphia, meaning the Giants aren't going to have Malik Nabers, their first-round pick of 2 years ago, and now Cam Skattebo, their second-best offensive player and one of the most impactful offensive players this season. That leaves quarterback Jaxson Dart searching for anyone that can help offensively, including that of Tyrone Tracy, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, who may or may not play in this game, and a slew of backups out there with the G-men in New York City. To be frank, though, the Giants are a hot mess. The 1 week they're rebuilding, 1 week they look like they're a young team trying to start something. The next Sunday, they're turning the ball over left and right, and the quarterback is bad, and the defense is really terrible. They have been a roller coaster ride. However, today's first question is, could this game be a trap game for the San Francisco 49ers? The Giants aren't good. The record's bad, but could this be a trap game for the red and gold? And could this be a really ugly loss on Sunday for San Francisco in week number 9? Before we answer that, though, we have some questions in the YouTube chat. That of Asaf, one of our favorites here on the channel, he asks, do you think Keion White and Ferrell are going to play this Sunday? Not only do I think they're going to play, I think they have to play. San Francisco currently has 2 active edge rushers on the roster, not according to or not including their additions they made this week. So Michael Williams, Robert Beal Jr., Samuel Keion may play, might not play. We'll see how his ankle looks at today's practice, but I think Ferrell and White have to play. This team is banged up. They're bruised. And they might even get Yetur Gross-Matos back, which is good. But again, time will tell, and we'll see if that actually is the case. But yes, I am fully expecting White and Ferrell to be active on Sunday. How much do they play? I'm not entirely sure, but I'm assuming White plays a ton in this game. He was a healthy scratch for the Patriots last Sunday. There's no injury there. He's healthy. And really, in this defense, just go and get after it when you're a new player. There really is no need to get too exotic with him, at least as a player. But I think his skill set certainly translates to San Francisco's defense very well. Strawberry Reacts says Yetur Gross-Matos is supposed to be active in this game. He might be. There's no promise, but he is practicing today. And he said he feels better than how he did a handful of months ago. So some promising signs there for San Francisco's defense, getting some bodies healthy as week number 9 approaches. Gabriel says here in the YouTube chat, Saleh told the media that Bryce Huff would be back next week. It's very true. Bryce Huff is supposed to be back against the Rams next Sunday. So again, the defense is getting healthier, at least on the defensive line, which maybe can be boosted by San Francisco's approach at the trade deadline, which should be impacted by the outcome of this game against the New York Giants. And that brings me to the question again. Could this be a trap game for the Niners on Sunday? Because the Giants have beaten really good teams this season. They beat the Chargers for their first win of the year, and they also beat the Philadelphia Eagles on a short week Thursday night football game. Those are not slouches of wins. Those are two really good teams, potentially two division winners when it's all said and done. And one of those games is a divisional opponent win, which maybe doesn't look as good now because the Philadelphia Eagles destroyed the Giants in week number 8. But a win against Philadelphia is always good nonetheless. They also had the Broncos beat pretty much by 33 points in the game a handful of weeks ago before blowing a 33-point lead and allowing, or 32-point lead and allowing 33 points in the fourth quarter. Their defense is ferocious. They have guys that can get to the quarterback at will. You have Kayvon Thibodeaux, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns. Those guys are dogs on the interior and on the edge. They could make a quarterback's life a living hell. And I think for a Niners offense who has not been able to average over or even at 20 points the last 3 weeks, that could be a problem. And it could spell maybe another struggling outcome or outing for San Francisco's offense. So a lot rides on this game. And there is a way the Giants defense, or at least the Giants as a whole, could actually beat San Francisco and win their third game of the season, dropping San Francisco to 5-4 when it's all said and done. However, despite all those things being true, good Giants defensive line, young stars, a ferocious pass rush, the Giants defense frankly sucks. and I don't want to make a light of that because San Francisco's defense has struggled. San Francisco's defense offense, has not been very good. It's really inconsistent. They have not had the spark. They've only really been able to run the football once this season, and against the Texans last Sunday, it was their worst rushing game, probably, I think it was since 2021, where Elijah Mitchell had like 35 yards. To put it short, Christian McCaffrey ran the football 8 times against the Houston Texans. Now, the game and the outcome and how things were going dictated why that was the case, but San Francisco should at least have a better outcome or performance on Sunday against the Giants and against the NFL's top defense in the Houston Texans last Sunday. The defense for the New York Giants is allowing 26.9 points per game, so 27 points per game. That ranks 26th in the NFL, and that is the worst defensive point per game allowance San Francisco has faced all year. So a good reason to buy in to San Francisco's offense bouncing back in week number 9. The Giants also do not get a lot of takeaways. Yes, they have some interceptions, but they're not very timely interceptions. They all kind of come in one game and really aren't as impactful because the offense doesn't put up too many points to help, I guess you can say, carry over the momentum of those takeaways. Yet, like I already said, the Giants' defensive line is one to fear. Brian Burns, top edge rusher, agent 0, an 8.9 pass rush win rate, 9 sacks this season, and 27 pressures. His sack numbers rank 4th in the NFL. That is terrifying for an offensive line that, quite frankly, was absolutely terrible against the Houston Texans last Sunday. Then Abdul Carter, this year's first-round draft pick, a 13.5% pass rush win rate, just 1 sack, but 32 pressures under his belt. That ranks 11th in the NFL. Then the man of the hour, the guy I want to be on San Francisco's plane headed back to the Bay Area after this game on Sunday, Kayvon Thibodeaux, an 11.2% pass rush win rate, 3 sacks this season, and 25 total pressures. Those guys are game-changing, havoc-creating a trio of defensive linemen. They'll play the inside, they'll play the outside, they'll mix and match, they'll utilize stunts. They will get after it. And they can make Mac Jones's life, who he's a statue primarily, and behind a bad offensive line could be some problems. And on top of that, although San Francisco's O-line, hopefully, fingers crossed, gets Ben Barch back this Sunday. But if he doesn't play, it's Connor Colby. It's Matt Hennessy again. It's a struggling Dominic Pooney. It is, although good tackles, not as good as they once were tackles in Trent Williams and McKivitz coming off his best game or worst game of the season against the Texans. So there are questions there, and San Francisco's offensive line could certainly be in for another hell of a day. And on top of that, the Giants are blitzing opposing quarterbacks nearly 30% of the time. The Niners' offensive line and their offense truly has not been great picking up blitzes. George Kittle is back for a 3rd straight game, so that'll certainly help them. But again, stunts, blitzing, 3 explosive edge rushers, it's not working in San Francisco's favor. So at least from a Mac Jones perspective, get the ball out quick. And I think that is going to be how you maybe resolve some of the questions you have or concerns you have about San Francisco's offensive line against the Giants' defensive line this Sunday. And on top of that, and it's a perfect segue into one of the comments here on YouTube, it's going to be a CMC and Sala game courtesy of Strawberry. They also say here, run the ball, help the defense, keep the ball out of Mac's hands so he doesn't have to battle the pass rush. Mac Jones is one of the worst quarterbacks against the blitz this season. That's all courtesy of Strawberry Reacts in the YouTube chat. I will say this, Mac is really good at getting the ball out quickly. That's if Christian McCaffrey is the check down option and the quick game works. Against the Houston Texans, that did not work. The game plan did not work whatsoever. They were reliant on deep passes, downfield, explosive plays, which this offense is not predicated under, with Mac Jones being the quarterback, really anybody being the quarterback, quite frankly. Thank God, though, or thank whatever Lord you serve, because the Giants' run defense is by far the worst run defense in the entire NFL. Right now, the Giants are allowing 148 yards per game via running backs and running quarterbacks and receiver end arounds this season. That is 30th in football. Now, that may be kind of jaded because of the 256 yards they allowed against Philadelphia in week number 8. But even then, even if it was 130 yards or 120 yards, it would not be a great number by any means. They have the worst ranked run defense when it comes to yards per carry, giving up nearly 6 yards at 5.7 yards per carry this season. They're allowing 7.5 rushing first downs this season. That is 25th in football, and are giving up 1.3 rushing touchdowns this season. If there was a game, if there really was a game to ride Christian McCaffrey, to run the football at will, like they did against the Atlanta Falcons 2 weeks ago, this is the game. For as bad as San Francisco's offense looked against the Houston Texans, this may be the perfect opponent for the Niners to bounce back against. They were just gutted against the Texans. That defense smothered them from yard 1 to yard 100. It was a disastrous performance offensively, and Christian McCaffrey only touched the football 11 times. I'm expecting that to change against the Giants on Sunday. And maybe you can say, well, Sterling, the Texans have a great secondary. The Texans have great linebackers. You're right. And thankfully, the Giants don't have any of that, especially when it comes to tackling. The Giants' starting linebackers this season have a 14% and a 26% missed tackle rate amongst linebackers that have played 50%. So starting linebackers this season, that would rank 3rd and 8th worst in the NFL. Not a good run defending team, not a good tackling team. If that does not mean yak and a lot of yards for Christian McCaffrey, I don't know what does. In short, though, San Francisco should be able to find some success on the ground. If anything, it'll be like the Atlanta Falcons game. Again, or at least it should be against the Giants on Sunday. Could be a big day for Christian McCaffrey, meaning there really is no excuse for us to leave Sunday questioning why Christian McCaffrey only touched the football 11 or 12 times like he did against the Houston Texans in week number 8. That can't happen. You're going to lose this game if you do not get the football into Christian McCaffrey's hands. In fact, Christian McCaffrey is not only your best player, he's your most important offensive player above George Kittle, above Trent, above Mac Jones right now, above anybody else. He is going to be the reason you win and lose games. If he gets the football, your odds of winning go up. Hence why I think not only San Francisco has to, they need to feed CMC this Sunday against the New York Giants. The run defense is terrible, and I even did some digging because San Francisco's run success against the Falcons was more of a gap scheme, an inside zone scheme. And I looked into the Giants' defense this year in between the tackles. They're giving up 50 yards per game. San Francisco's offensive line and their offense really should be able to find some success on the ground and almost protect Mac Jones, kind of ease the offensive load from him, take pressure off of the wide receivers. And I think getting the ball into CMC's hands on the ground, which all the stats would say you're going to have some success, should lead to that. I think, they might surprise the Giants and come out throwing on the first drive, but I think even if it's checkdowns, CMC must touch the football. Must touch the football. You really have to feed CMC. That is exactly how you win this game. And you want to make a young Giants team stop them, which they have not shown the ability to stop many running backs this season, especially in the passing game. So I do think Christian McCaffrey is the key. He always is the key, let's be honest here, but really needs some help. Richard says here in the YouTube chat, I just pray Christian McCaffrey stays healthy on that turf 100%. Like I said, any cut, catch, juke, dive, whatever it is, there is fear of, oh my God, is that guy getting up? McCaffrey's been healthy all year, thank the Lord himself. But there is fear. Hopefully, feeding CMC doesn't lead to injuring CMC, so knock on wood. But I do believe getting him the football 18 plus times, 20 plus times will lead to San Francisco winning this game, hopefully by a lot, but I'm expecting a closer game than folks are believing. Joseph says here in the YouTube chat, our always positive friend Joseph, the Niners are going to lose this game. Why are people so confident? Well, I don't think you're wrong to maybe speculate as to fans should be less confident leaving week number 8, going into week number 9, knowing how good the Houston Texans looked against this Niners team and how bad the Niners looked against the Houston Texans. The Giants aren't the Houston Texans, though. The Niners played the best defense in football last year. Their offense didn't work at all. The defense is young. They looked young. They looked exposed, if you will, but the Giants are young. They are a rather poorly coached team. They'll make critical mistakes. The Texans don't really do that defensively. So I think that is why, like, the team against the like the Texans, like the Niners should have a much better performance against the Giants defense, which if you can run the football, will open things up for a Shanahan-led offense and hopefully ease Mac Jones' workload. Let's see what else we have in the YouTube chat quickly. Let's see. Kawachipto says here, I think we just run the football this game. Yeah, that's it. They are garbage at stopping the run. I think you establish the run first, maybe, and then open things up for the play action pass, or at least, look, in my notes here, I have this. Feed Christian McCaffrey. If you can establish the run, the whole offense opens up, and you should be able to target this Giants secondary at will, mainly with a might be under 100% George Kittle. Still a heck of a weapon. Still an impact player. Caught a touchdown for you against the Texans last Sunday. And while the Giants linebackers are terrible at tackling, they're also terrible in coverage. And if there is an offense that wants to target the middle of the football field with their all-pro future Hall of Fame tight end, their offensive player of the year, maybe future Hall of Fame running back if he continues this trend he's on in Christian McCaffrey, and some bargain bin wide receivers, it is the Kyle Shanahan, Mac Jones-led offense of the San Francisco 49ers. So run the football. The Giants can't stop that. And against the Giants linebackers, just eat those guys alive between the numbers and the hashes. So this season alone, each starter for the Giants, their average this year is a 55 PFF coverage grade, which not very good. It's a little bit above average. A little bit above average. Not much, though. But they've combined to allow 27 receptions, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 99.8 passer rating allowed when covered. Again, there's really no reason to not win this game. There really is no reason to not find offensive success. Everything points to San Francisco bouncing back. Maybe not in a big way, but certainly a more comparable way to how they've been playing earlier in the season pre-Texans game. So think of games like the Falcons game, or think of games like the Saints game. Like those two games, I think, are ones this game may look like when the clock hits 0. I think it'll be close. It's not going to be, an easy win for San Francisco, and the Giants can certainly surprise the 49ers, but I think that San Francisco is in for a bounce-back victory against the Giants, at least based on how bad their defense has been. And if you do have fears of Mac Jones, or maybe how poor the Niners passing offense has looked at times, especially against the Houston Texans, and wondering, can they figure things out? The Giants secondary also isn't good, but even their best guy, even their best cornerback, who's having a really good season, Cordell Flott, might not play on Sunday because of a concussion. And their second best cornerback on paper, Paulson Adebo, he's questionable with a knee injury. So those two top guys might not play, leading to Drew Phillips and Deontay Banks being their number 2 and number 3 or 4 cornerbacks starting on Sunday in place of their 2 top guys. And if you combine and average the numbers of the Giants secondary without Cordell Flott out there as their CB1, it's terrible. They have an average of a 51.6 coverage grade, a 70% completion rate allowed, 295 total yards given up, almost 110 yards allowed per game from Adebo, Banks, and Phillips allowed this season, 5 total touchdowns, and 113 passer rating allowed. That is terrible. And to add insult to the Giants' injury, their star safety, Javon Holland, might not play in this game either. Now, we'll see if those guys can play, if Flott plays and Adebo plays and Holland plays. Yeah, things even out kind of in a way for the Giants, but it's not as if the Giants do not have literal liabilities all over their defense. That San Francisco, with the guys they have, like Bourne, Jennings, Robinson, guys you don't trust that much right now, they should still be able to find some holes and win this football game, put up some points, and hopefully leave New York being 6-3. In fact, I'll say this, there's really no excuse as to why San Francisco's offense should not find a way to bounce back. You have to. This is the most important game of the season. You cannot fall to 5-4 with the Rams up in week 10. You will be 5-5. You will fall a lot in the rankings, and maybe a wild card might be out of the question, or at least, I don't know, make it a heck of a lot harder to win a wild card spot when it's all said and done. San Francisco has to win 5 more games, in my estimation, to make the playoffs. You have the Panthers, the Titans, the Cardinals, the Giants, and some tougher games down the road too, but those games are winnable. If you win those games, you have the Bears, Seahawks, and Rams, and the Colts. Win one of those, and you're probably in the playoffs. I do think that that's on the table for San Francisco. It's doable for them, but you have to win this Sunday against the Giants to make your life easier. I don't think this team is a NFC West division winning game, barring a crazy drop-off from the Rams and the Seahawks. However, you can be a wildcard team. I walked into this year thinking 10-7, wildcard, maybe you upset somebody else in the playoffs. That was my expectations. That is becoming the reality. And if they win this Sunday against the Giants, that looks more and more real for them as the season goes on. And maybe it makes San Francisco's front office buy a player or two and find somebody else. There's rumors out there they want to get somebody else in the defense or on the defensive line, which I think makes a lot of sense. And win Sunday sets them up for that potential on Tuesday's trade deadline. We have some questions here from Lori Matthews, our girl in Phoenix. She says, well, do the Niners take any additional precautions with their players knowing they're going to be playing on that turf, ankle wrapping, etc.? Yeah, they're not going to play Purdy, Pearsall, Bryce Huff, Jake Brendel, and guys like that. It seems like Pearsall is on track to return against the Rams in week number 10, so some good news there. I don't know what the precautions are, though, because you can't really take precautions with ACLs. You can't really take precautions with, a hamstring or whatever. Like, I'm no doctor, so I'm not going to talk too much into it, but I don't think there really is much. Maybe you have ankle wrappings higher on the ankle, but you don't want to restrict players too much. I think it's more so of you just kind of got to play the game and hope nothing happens. I just think that's kind of how it is. Maybe if you want to give guys more rest, limit some snap counts. My fear, though, is at least like nobody on the offense right now that I know of outside of Pooney has a lower body injury. Kittle, I think, is recovered from the hamstring, but on defense, that's the concern, right? Guys on kick returns, starting and stopping, the receivers maybe, but on defense especially, the defensive line, Nick Bosa tore his ACL, not even cutting, just being blocked in the air. Malik Nabers jumped for a football and tore his ACL. Like, there really is no rhyme or reason as to why or how guys get hurt out there. It's just not grass and it sucks. So I don't think there really is much they can do, but maybe trying to monitor snap counts, which San Francisco never does anyways. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe Malik Mustafa is somewhat limited in this game, but I don't even think San Francisco can afford that. So maybe you see Pinnock play more against his former team, but I don't think San Francisco is going to pull off their best safety to avoid injury, knowing that they have to win. So I get the thinking. I'm scared too. But no, I don't think San Francisco has any precautions in place, at least to face the Giants at MetLife Stadium on Sunday. We have a question from Chase in the YouTube chat. Thank you so much, Chase. They ask here, what are the chances San Francisco trades for Trey Hendrickson? I won't go negative, and anything's possible, but I would say probably a 1% chance. Talked a ton about this yesterday. San Francisco has talked to the Bengals about Trey Hendrickson for about 5 weeks or so now. Bengals aren't budging. They think they have a chance still. Maybe that changes on Sunday, depending on how the games go. But Niners are not paying for rentals, nor are they in the business of offering guys $35 to $40 million contracts per year, which Hendrickson probably wants as an extension. So odds are very, very, very slim. Let's see. Let's see if we have any more questions here. Joseph also asks in the YouTube chat, if and when they lose to the Giants, is it time to hang it up for the season? Oh, no, anything can happen. You beat the Rams once already. You beat the Seahawks early in the season. If Purdy and Pearsall come back, which you hope can happen, maybe there is more optimism for the team going forward. But losing against the Giants certainly makes your life harder as the year goes on. But as I've already stated, Giants' run defense is not very good. Their secondary, quite frankly, sucks. There's a reason why teams like the Broncos scored 33 points in one quarter against this Giants defense. The offense didn't help them in that game either, but you can put up a lot of points against this Giants defense. They're young. They want to make some plays. They want to smack you in the mouth and whatnot, but they are really not in a position to do so. Now, San Francisco isn't great. They're not a great team. Don't get me wrong. And we know the offense has struggled a lot this season at times. But I think with how bad the Giants' run defense is and their secondary, who has given up 13 20-plus yard receptions this year, my money's on Shanahan, CMC, and Mac Jones to run the football 30-plus times and bounce back. Maybe Brian Robinson gets a handful of carries. I think this is a game where you can almost reestablish yourself and kind of quiet the media storm, the fan anxiety towards the season potentially going downhill, like Joseph feels in the comments right now on YouTube. I do think that there is a clear the expectations should be San Francisco bounce back. There's no excuse not to bounce back and play well. I think if San Francisco doesn't bounce back, I think the questions are becoming or will become more severe. It's not going to be, oh my gosh, the Niners are terrible. It's, can they go to the playoffs? Are they a legitimate contender? Are the injuries too big? And are the young guys good enough this year to trust them? And, you can even maybe question if they don't go to the playoffs, did the gamble pay off of cutting some high-end contracts and kind of retooling, if you will, kind of rebooting things this year, which I think I won't ask that, but I think some fans will. And I think to a certain degree it might be valid, but you can avoid that whole conversation if you win. And I think they will this Sunday. That said, if you want to see this game on Sunday or you want to go watch your San Francisco 49ers play Week 10 against the Rams at home, maybe the returning Brock Purdy, maybe the returning Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk, Bryce Huff, Yetur Gross-Matos, Jake Brendel. If you want to see all those guys potentially come back and play for your San Francisco 49ers this year, use our promo code 49ersaccess, 49 ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com. Save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Again, things are expensive. I was at Costco yesterday. Me and my wife spent nearly $700 on groceries. Now it was bulk buying, but if you can save $20, I'd rather spend $650 than maybe $675. So $20 may not be a lot, but it certainly fills up part of your gas. You can buy a beer or two and hopefully have a more enjoyable experience and not break your bank in the meantime. So use that promo code 49ersaccess, 49 ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Let's get to the defense because the Niners defense is going up against a Giants offense that's been kind of an enigma this year, right? You have Malik Nabers, he goes down. You have Skattebo, who's awesome for them this year. He goes down. But you still have Jaxson Dart, and they're an interesting bunch because they don't have those two offensive weapons, and Jaxson Dart has been really good at times, but also really bad at times. And I think for a young Niners defense playing Micah Williams, Alfred Collins, Tatum Bethune, maybe or maybe not D. Winters, getting new guys in the room now to help fill some holes because guys are hurt, this is a good time to kind of shake off that Texans game and refocus yourself, kind of reestablish yourself as a more competitive defense. against the Giants offense that has really struggled at times this year. But I think one key to this game is coming off of the Texans game, where the defense was missing assignments, running into each other, bad communication, this, that, and the other. How bad they played, that can get in your head. That can affect your psyche and affect your confidence. The one thing the Giants offense does extremely well is playing under the script. First quarter offense, maybe even some second quarter offense too, but that first quarter offense, they're really good. And coming off of the game against the Texans, maybe your offense is kind of shot. I do think if the Giants get off to a quick start, it could really cause some problems for San Francisco's young defense, get in their head, make them play worse down the stretch. Because this season alone, the Giants per quarter EPA, it is staggering how quickly they are to start hot and how bad they are to end football games. So in quarter one, the Giants rank as the 6th best offense in football. In quarter number 2, they're the 17th best offense. In quarters 3 and 4, they're 20 and 21. That first quarter, if they get off to a 14-point, nothing lead or a 13-point, like whatever it is, and San Francisco's offense is kind of stymied, they look slow on the East Coast, they're sluggish, and the defense plays poorly, maybe gives up an explosive play early to Jaxson Dart and company. That can be a problem for San Francisco's young defense, playing with some new guys on the defensive line. The young secondary, there's been some miscommunication. That can get in your head and affect how you play. So you're hoping Saleh's defense, who, thank God today, he said, I have to be better. It's really nice hearing that after having Nick Sorensen last year, of him saying, I didn't put my guys in the right places. Part of this is on me too. I think Robert Saleh, albeit not the Jets, going back to New York for the first time, he coached them at MetLife Stadium. He has a point to prove. There will be some media attention on him in somewhat of a return to the Big Apple. I think he wants to go out there and knock the crap out of the Giants early, get a couple takeaways and rattle them in the first quarter to kind of stymie and hinder their first, quarter hot starts they've had this season. But the Giants are really good in those scripted plays. And when the game gets real and they have to make a play late, they kind of falter. So if you can avoid that first quarter push by the Giants, the Niners defense should be in a really good spot as the game goes on. Jaxson Dart, been a big roller coaster, strong arm, mobility, the read option, all that's there. And that can really hurt San Francisco's young linebackers. They're aggressive, they're impatient, whether it's Winters or Bethune, maybe it's Nicholas Martin, who knows if Winters can't play. You're going to have those guys at times out of position, more aggressive. They're going to miss some tackles, and Dart may hurt them. They have to be more disciplined when they go attack the quarterbacks, when they bite. And I think that's a big test for them. Fred Warner rarely ever bites. He knows what's coming. Hopefully Bethune and company can be more prepared, less undisciplined, not to say less aggressive, but just more smart in the routes they take to the ball carrier. Don't run out of your lanes and your zones and then get beat over the middle. There are certainly ways the Giants offense can hurt San Francisco's defense. Dart, I think, has and will be a good quarterback for a while in New York if he stays there and if he has some consistency around him, if they can grow the offense around him. But the Giants offense, I can see a world where the Niners are down 14-0 in the first quarter and we're sitting back like they're playing from behind. They feel pressured to pass the football again, and you leave CMC kind of not being or not having the football a lot. That's a big thing you can't let happen. And San Francisco's defense really, really has to avoid that if they can. And Dart's fun to watch, man. He's a playmaker. However, he also is a turnover-prone machine. Through 7 games this season, Jaxson Dart, for all the good he's done, again, beat the Philadelphia Eagles, beat the Chargers. He had the Broncos beat, but those are all first half great starts and kind of slower ends. He's turned the ball over 5 times, 3 picks, 2 fumbles, and 7 turnover-worthy plays this year. He will give you the ball up. I think getting interceptions, forcing fumbles, I think that's on the table for San Francisco's defense in this game. I think that I don't think you want to blitz Jaxson Dart too much, but I'm sure they will to kind of aid their pass rush. But Dart can beat you, but in that same breath, he can also give you the game back. Dart, for as good as he's been in games this year and how quickly he started off and hitting guys on time, being precise, as the game goes on, it's almost like he just kind of loses focus, or as soon as he feels the game unraveling, he kind of crumbles. And it's like, oh God, so I think for the Niners, avoid the big push, put some pressure on him late, rattle him somewhat, and he will crumble as the game goes on. At least he's shown that in previous games this season. Kyle Chipto says here, San Francisco's defense got to 3rd and long quite a bit against the Houston Texans. His blitz and coverages last week didn't work a lot, that being Robert Saleh. Very, very true. San Francisco had, I think, the Texans at 3rd and 6 4 separate times in that game. And I think they had them at 3rd and 5 at least 7 times. So it's not as if the Niners defense wasn't good on 1st and 2nd down. They were. It's just the fact that on 3rd down, they couldn't get off the field. They should have a lot more luck against the Giants than the Houston Texans this Sunday. I think blitzing less might be the answer. I think having a quarterback spy might help. I think D. Winters not being healthy potentially could hurt them a lot in this game. Nicholas Martin's over-aggressive. I wouldn't want to play him too much now. Fast, quick dude, but liability currently in tackling. You may see Luke Gifford and Curtis Robinson out there. Who knows? But I think being less aggressive with your blitzing, which they blitzed a ton against Houston for obvious reasons, but I think being more patient, it might be the option for San Francisco, and kind of maybe hope you can get home against a rather mediocre to maybe good Giants offensive line that overall is okay, but certainly has some holes, which is a great segue into the next topic, because Dart turns the football over, and a lot of that is because of how bad the Giants offensive line has been at times and who they could be without this Sunday. The Giants offensive line, I think, presents an opportunity that the Niners have yet to really take advantage of this season, because the Jaguars offensive line wasn't great, and San Francisco couldn't do jack squat against it. That was the first game post Nick Bosa's injury. The Texans offensive line also worse than Jacksonville's is, and they couldn't do anything against it last Sunday. This Giants offensive line, although does have good tackles, Andrew Thomas is really good. The left guard, though, is a major liability in John Runyon. 21 pressures, 2 sacks, a 55.1 pass blocking grade. And if the Niners have some injury luck on their side, albeit you don't want guys to get hurt, the Giants right tackle, Jermaine Illuminor, might not play in this game, meaning that rookie tackle Marcus Bowe is in line to start at right tackle, I believe, for the Giants. 9 pressures, 1 sack, and a 25.9 pass blocking grade in 3 games. So there could be some players to exploit on the Giants offensive line. I think bringing some pressure on the outside via a blitz or 2 against Bowe, if he does play for the Giants on Sunday, could be a very big thing that helps San Francisco get a win and get some pressure on Jaxson Dart, maybe force a pick or a fumble, who knows. But I do think those 2 spots, left guard and right tackle, especially if Bowe is playing, are 2 spots to hopefully aggressively attack if you are San Francisco. When it comes to the Niners schematics against the Giants offense, it's going to be Tyrone Tracy leading the Giants charge on the ground. Tracy having a rather inconsistent season in 2025, but was really good last year for the Giants. He hasn't really found his footing. There's been some injuries, sure, and Skattebo has been a very big piece of their ground game, with Tracy kind of being the running back number 2 behind him. So maybe this is a game where Tracy explodes, or it's a game where San Francisco's run defense bounces back after allowing Woody Marks and Nick Chubb to do whatever they wanted last Sunday. So hopefully there's an improvement there, which I think will come with being more patient in their run fits. But with an aggressive young defense, you're going to find mistakes like that. When you have Jair Brown and Mustafa and Bethune and Winters and Nicholas Martin maybe and Upton Stout, who are all fun players to watch and certainly have a lot of ability to like, the more aggressive you play, the odds you make mistakes increases. So hoping for some more disciplined run fits by San Francisco's run defense this Sunday. Hopefully guys like Alfred Collins and Elliott and West and more guys can play the whole game and not be out with injuries throughout the game. So I'm banking on San Francisco's run defense bouncing back in a big way against the Giants. The fingers crossed it does, because if it doesn't, they might be in trouble. It might get ugly against the G-men out there in New York City. They also have Wan'Dale Robinson, who I think could be the undoing for San Francisco. He's quick, he's fast, but more importantly, he is a big factor in the end-around game, the screen game, anything the Giants want to do to get the ball into Wan'Dale Robinson's hands early usually works. He can make guys miss. He is essentially, in a roundabout way, their Deebo Samuel. He's utilized very similarly, not as a wide back, but they want to get him the football behind or at least near the line of scrimmage and hope he can make a couple guys miss, which has happened a lot this year. So he's a factor you have to watch for. He's a big X factor in this game. Without Skattebo and without Malik Nabers, I think he becomes their probably top offensive weapon. So watch out for him on Sunday. I don't really know if Darius Slayton's going to play, but he does possess a deep ball threat and could certainly hurt San Francisco early in the game, where if I'm the Giants and I see the Niners defense being aggressive and, them kind of getting beat a lot downfield against the Houston Texans, I almost want to test them early. If you can score quick, like I said, avoid the big punch by the Giants offense, that'll help. But Darius Slayton, if he plays, will probably be a part of that initial punch by the New York Giants. And of course, they have Theo Johnson, their tight end, which Bethune certainly like to avoid, or Bethune, certainly evaded his assignments in coverage against the Houston Texans. So maybe San Francisco utilizes Curtis Robinson more, or at least maybe has him more prepared, or at least might have a quick yank, if you will, if Bethune struggles. But I have a really hard time seeing the Giants losing, or the Giants winning this game against the San Francisco 49ers. I think San Francisco, despite the injuries, certainly holds the advantage offensively. They've been more consistent. There's so many ebbs and flows that, the Giants offenses has had this year. Turnover prone, if you will. They'll make critical mistakes, where San Francisco, despite losing ugly against the Houston Texans, really didn't make critical mistakes. Now, they were, not having consistent drives and 3 and outs, and those things cannot persist if they want to win this game. But there really wasn't any turnovers until late in the game. And they really didn't play, it was an ugly loss, but it wasn't like mistake riddled offensively. There was guys not being open, Mac Jones locking on the targets and stuff. But if they can play a more consistent brand of football, they can hopefully win this game, and I think they will. My final score prediction is 24-17. Another one-score game. I don't think San Francisco has the dogs to beat teams by double digits unless they run the football a ton, which might be a good milk the clock, get out of New York, hopefully healthy, control the clock, and do exactly what you did against the Atlanta Falcons 2 weeks ago. Really, the hope is to win, but the second maybe equal hope and wish is that you just get out healthy. It's a hard ask against the Giants on the road at MetLife Stadium, but also it's a hard ask for San Francisco, where every single day there's something new. So if they can get out healthy, fingers crossed they can do that, and get back some guys, the odds of winning and going to the playoffs increase. So I do think San Francisco wins 24-17. It'll be close. The Giants are not one to lose games by 18 points often, and San Francisco is not a team that will beat teams by a lot either. It'll be close. It'll be tough, but I think San Francisco wins. Run the football. That is the key. If you do that, you will win offensively. For defense, avoid the initial punch in the mouth the Giants want to give you. If you can do that, you will win this football game. And I think San Francisco is equally capable of both those things. So my money's on San Francisco, and I truly do think that they'll win this football game. But back to the YouTube chat for 1 second. Let's see what we have here in the YouTube chat. Let's see. Lori Matthews asks, which of those players that we let go are playing in a level to make you miss them, though? Malik Collins is playing pretty well. I don't really know why San Francisco cut him, but to each their own. Outside of that, really nobody else, but that's kind of the biggest hole they have now is on the defensive line, which sucks knowing how much they poured into it. That's probably the only one right now. But I think it's more about getting guys back that are hurt. If you win the game, get guys back that are currently on the shelf, which could be 5 or 6 guys against the Rams. It's a pretty big, trade deadline addition, if you will, which I think the Niners might be targeting a defensive tackle more than an edge rusher. They got Keion White. I would not be shocked to watch them go and acquire a defensive tackle at the deadline and kind of hope the guys they get back, which could be Barch, Burford, Purdy, Pearsall, Huff, Brendel, 6 guys post week 9. That's a pretty big influx of really good talent. Now, there are certainly concerns with all those guys staying healthy, but I think you could be seeing them add 7 guys to their roster healthy, hopefully by week 10, if not week 12 at the latest, which, it's wishful thinking, but I think it's certainly a feasible outcome for San Francisco. Joseph says here we should shut down Brock and Ricky for the rest of the season. No and no, because Pearsall, I think, will be back by week 10. He's on track to return, so you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't want to willingly shut down his second season, even if he's healthy, which I think, again, he'll be back against the Rams, if not against the Cardinals for sure. So no, you won't do that. Even if you are 5-5 going into week 11, you have a chance still. Anything can happen. So the Niners cannot afford to waste opportunities to go to the playoffs. I know the way the team is currently constructed, the expectations, the hope really isn't to go to the Super Bowl, but they are right now they'd rather have a fighting chance to go than not have a chance at all, which having Pearsall, Mac Jones, maybe Purdy back will give them that, at least in their own eyes. What else do we have here in the YouTube chat? We have some questions, I believe, if we can get down further. Let's see. Niners First Takes. Aaron, my good friend, says, Sunday's a must win. You got that right, brother. And to plug our show tomorrow, 2 p.m., right back on here, my friend Aaron, 49ers First Takes and Dre from Jerry Sports are previewing this game and reacting to San Francisco's injury report leading into week 9 against the New York Giants. Should be another good game. I think it should be fun. It'll be close. There'll be some nail-biting finish towards the end, I'm sure. But I think San Francisco prevails. It's never been easy, but would you rather win ugly and still win or lose pretty? If that makes sense. I'd rather win ugly, be 6-3 going into week 10 against the Rams and the trade deadline with 3 games above 500. Maybe if the Rams or Seahawks lose, 2nd or 3rd place, or even 1st place again in the NFC West. A lot of football to play. Niners aren't punting. 9 games, 8 games left, whatever it is. Second half of the season to go. So should be fun. Gear up, folks. Giants, Niners this Sunday. I think San Francisco wins 24-17, but drop your predictions down below. Tell me your worries, tell me your concerns, and tell me why you think San Francisco might win or might lose. While you're doing that, when you're on your phone, on your laptop, on whatever you're on, your PC, your desktop computer, follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X, or Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. And you can go ahead and use that promo code 49ersaccess, 49 ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave us that 5-star audio podcast review. And as always, my name is Sterling Bennett, and stay faithful.